Quantum Leap, Let Light Unite show on Revolution Radio, Freedom's Lips. And this is December 15th, 2015. Tonight, I'm going to bring on a really great man I met, Jerry Tessner, who's going to talk about computers. And in the second hour, I'm going to give you the Fukushima report. We're going to talk a little bit more about Fukushima, and maybe from an angle you really haven't even considered yet. And then we're going to talk about something that just came out, which I'm really kind of excited about, is that now it's said that the court rules the Bush administration can be sued for its war on terror. How pretty cool is that? So anyway, that's the second hour. Now, the first hour, I'm doing something that I really don't normally do, but I really feel compelled to, because I figure if I'm having the problem, you probably might be having the same problem too. Well, and we're talking about computers. We're talking about, I have a Windows 8. Of course, you know, Microsoft forced us into that, into upgrading. And last Saturday, within a couple hours, I must have had at least 20 pop-ups from Windows asking me, wanting to give me Windows 10 for free. And then, you know, I've lost count on how many pop-ups have come into my life. And I'm thinking, now, why in the world does Microsoft want to give me anything for free? Let alone something this big where I just had to pay big bucks to get the Windows 8 because they forced us all to upgrade. Why? What is going on? And as I put it out on Facebook, yeah, I mean, this is really aggravating because they kept putting it in front of my face. And the more you put something like that and shoving it in front of my face really makes me not want to trust it, especially when it comes from a major corporation. Now, I'm a big one. I love to watch movies. And I've been kind of asking Spirit, what in the world is going on? Now, this is just my take, and then we're going to get to Jerry's take in a little bit. But I believe that the other side, the Illuminati, the dark side, loves to put messages and tell us everything that they're going to do to us in movies. Now, they did that with 9/11. They've done that. Oh, my God. Everything that they've done, you can find in a movie somewhere. Well, I had to stay at home and watching some movies. And they had the movie called The Englishman on it. And it's a spy movie about the elite of spies, you know, the ones that go into countries that just do whatever they want to do and kill people and overturn governments, and you just never hear about them. Okay. Now, what the movie was about is these up-and-coming spies, and the villain of the program was this man who was very, very wealthy, and he said he was trying in the past to make the planet better, and he's been doing this for a long time, and he figured, and he looked, and he goes, nothing he was doing was really getting it. So he decided, and this is the words of the New World Order, that he was going to do something different and help the planet by culling it. And if you don't understand what that word culling means, it means kill off, shorten, get rid of, okay? So what he did is he created this free program, kind of like Microsoft, I'm not sure, that anybody could get online and actually, you know, get on the web and use their cell phone. Now, while everybody was happy receiving this free program, what he was actually doing is he could send this frequency into that little chip, and it did something to the brain, and it made people angry and just literally start attacking each other and killing each other. And that was his way of culling the planet of people, of getting rid of people. So now I watch this, right, and I'm going, all right, this is really interesting. And then four days later, I'm getting all these Microsoft Please let me give you Microsoft 10. We really want you to have this. Your computer is compatible. Please, they do everything but send you kisses through the computer. So anyway, I put online on Facebook, what's going on? Does anybody have a clue? And is there an alternative to Microsoft 10? Well, a friend of mine, a Facebook friend, put it out there, and this man answered, Jerry Test, and we started talking about computers, and I really like him, and I thought, again, if I'm having the problem, maybe some of you are also having this Microsoft problem, and is there an alternative to Microsoft? So, hey, Jerry, I see you're online.
Yeah, hi. I'm online. I'm in the chat room too, as Glass FX.
Well, then, guys, he's in the chat room because he can multitask, which I'm really impressed with. If you have any questions for him, then give a holler.
Or send me a message. Sometimes you can't carry on a conversation and answer some of the questions, but I'll certainly endeavor to get back to anyone who leaves me a message if I can help out.
Well, let's just get
Do you
right.
remember how we exactly met? What was your exact problem and how did we meet?
Oh, this is not a trick question. I really got upset at having all these Windows pop-ups, and I want to get rid of them, the pop-ups. And so I put it out online looking for help, and you appeared.
And a mutual friend of ours, Terry, she tagged me in the post. And originally, I had a free program, free to download, that would remove the consistent update that is always notifying you of the Windows 10. And what the average person should be concerned about the Windows 10, such as you were, why are they giving this for free? Now, that's a double-pointed question. Is this business-wise or is this personal-wise? Because if business-wise, if you switch to Windows 10 and all of a sudden programs that you have bought, paid for, licenses, Windows 10 does not guarantee any of these other programs to work. And they also want a monthly rental now. So you don't actually even own the computer and the program, even though you've paid for it. You're in fact leasing it. And the people who own the copyright, Microsoft on this, are doing unimaginable things. And this does not even include the written-in software, the back doors from the NSA. Now, anyone who's on computer, if the NSA is so all-being and powerful as they claim to be, we're all compromised. All right, there's no freedom. There's no safety in that. So let everyone get your head around that. But there are some things that are safer than others. So I then brought up the Linux operating system that is totally free. All right, this is open source. It doesn't get any freer than this. And we got into the bit about where Linux is run on 90% of the world's fastest computers. All right, so you think about this. There's Windows, there's Apple, and then there's this little Linux community, and it's totally free, open source. Now, Linux used to be fairly difficult to run for the average Windows person, but that was That was 5 years ago. It is so perfected right now for its ease to use that it's only a mild switchover. It'd be like teaching someone to drive an automatic car, teaching them how to drive a stick. A couple rough days to begin with, and a week later they're out of the blocks and confident at what they're doing. Like anything else, there's going to be bumps, but it's by far a much superior system. When you get it to load, it takes 45 minutes, and it loads all of the drivers, and you get you get Skype, you get all sorts of you get a media player, VLC media player, all loaded, everything loaded. It connects to the internet for you. It's amazing, and people still don't know about it, and they fear things that they do not know.
Well, you mentioned something about being able to run the Windows 8 alongside of this program if you wanted to. And my question is, if I want to get rid of Windows, why would I want to have Windows on there at all?
Well, look, there's always going to be a couple things. There is going to be Windows is on about 80% of the world's computers as a number. All right, there are some programs that are run that Linux cannot do. So let's say I don't know what switchboard Revolution Radio uses, but they are clearly going to have a computerized switchboard that is going to switch calls, handle the fade-ins, the fade-outs, the producer's workboard. What's compatible for Windows is not 100% compatible on all systems on Linux. So thus, I could see Revolution Radio is most likely running a Windows program. I mean, I just know this. But so someone like them, it would be good for them to have a side-by-side system on many levels. So let's say you're a gamer. The people who want to game are going to want to use Windows because it just the game manufacturer and Play is designed for Microsoft. That and the gaming industry is so huge. I mean, Linux is catching up quick to that, but that would be another reason someone would want Windows. But any other reason, with maybe engineering and drafting, advanced levels, I can't see why they wouldn't give it a go, because it is just as easy to use. There's nothing extremely difficult about it. Where 5 years ago it was definitely much more difficult to look at. There are some people who just go, "I'm not tech. I can't do this." Well, that's got them through 5 years. I'm not tech. I can't do this. Well, at some point, you're going to have to learn. I mean, if things go bad, we're listening to people talk about, well, what happens if something bad happens or the power grid goes down? You hear all this, but they're not even prepared to even look at a superior operating system that is free and runs faster and doesn't have nearly all the spyware that's involved. You don't have to run the security systems.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, when you were saying, some of the reasons that you would need to have Windows run. Well, I'm not like Revolution Radio, but if I got rid of Windows, I would still be
You
able
would
to
never know.
communicate.
You would never know the difference if someone didn't tell you.
Well, that's what I mean. So for me,
That's
a
what.
normal
It's that
person that
simple.
doesn't do gaming, other than when I go out and buy a rock for my store, which I consider as gambling, but that's it. But I don't do it online. So it's like I don't do any of that stuff.
It's actually people like you that are the easiest to teach because the instructions are very simple to give to someone to you. You know, they don't ask, well, why does this happen? Why does this work? You go here, you click that button. You go here, you click that button. You go here, you click that button. Shazam. You know, you do that 2 weeks, get up, push that button, push that button. You're going to know in 2 weeks. And it's no different. It's doing the same thing.
Well,
Just
I
it's
remember everybody, when they had to get rid of Windows, what point, 7?
I still have Windows 7
7,
running
7.
on mine.
Well,
XP, they made
yeah,
people get
they
rid of.
got rid of, okay, I had the XP and oh my God, I loved it. And then when people had to go to Windows 8, they were just flipping out and they're going, oh my God, I can't do this. And they went and bought Windows 7. Now I'm on Windows 8 and I'm going, I don't see a big deal with this at all. And I'm pretty, computer illiterate, but maybe that's me. And sometimes when I
You,
just accept that this is what I've got to do, I learn it.
all right. So if you could go back to an uh, almost parallel, similar XP type menu board platform, could you adapt to that again?
Probably. It was pretty
Well,
easy
of
to
course you
do.
would. You might have to go, where was that? What was that called again? But yeah, you click start, you go into the menu. Yeah, systems tools, whatever, Well, this is the same thing with Linux. This is almost all of it is based on that XP type of platform, little drop down windows come up. Yes, I want this. And what's really amazing is on load up, it does everything for you. One of the biggest nightmares that I've had this month, and it happens. Someone says, can you format a hard drive for me? Basic, simple stuff people don't know how to do. I do. Yeah, absolutely. I'll boot and nuke your hard drive for, and then you go to load in a Windows disk and all the drivers don't load and it's a nightmare and it's a 5-year-old Dell and Dell doesn't want to give you the drive. These things become hassles. And I understand why people will go, wow, all right. This is the beautiful thing about the Linux. It loads all of them for you. You don't have to go chase down. And this is a real freedom. All right. You will never be charged again for the rest of your life for a system that you can upgrade and that you can change different platforms once you become more advanced or there's something that you want to specialize in. There are certain platforms of Linux that are developed for that. I'm showing people how to get into the very entry level crossover from Microsoft to Linux, and there's so much support that is done, and I cannot stress to people, it doesn't get any freer. It is considered the fastest operating system available to people for free. And this is all open source. People say, oh, free energy, give this away, give this away. Here is a community of people that have not been swayed or whatever the case may be, got cut out from the big computers. They built their own platform and they made it free. And people still saying, I don't have a technician. You know, when someone is sitting here saying, you don't understand, we can get this to actually plug into your computer from a disk or a USB, click start and go. And everything loads in like an hour. You know, this is and people, and it's amazing that people, to me, they're like, I get them like you that are like, I don't want this from Windows 10. You say, could you imagine someone saying, well, here's your solution, is all we got to do is spend an hour or two, and for a week things are going to be just, you're going to touch a couple different buttons. That's it. You get a faster, smoother system that is better in all regards. You'll never have to pay for it comes loaded with Office. It comes loaded with image editors. It comes loaded with video editors. And then you can add so many things that you want to. And you
Well,
don't have all this bloatware.
what's the difference between Linux and Windows and the security systems?
All right. Well, again, let's go back to Windows being on 80% of all the world's computers. Well, people who write these dirty viruses and worms and stuff like this, they do this all for Apple and Windows computers, because mostly Windows. So the whole computer security industry thing is based on a Windows platform. The Linux, because there are so few of them in the world, I mean, there are viruses that, you know, if you go venturing off into places on the internet where you're not supposed to be, well, even a Linux is going to pick up something, but it's easily cleaned. You don't have these antivirus programs that slow you down and you have to run this. You can make a 10-year-old Dell Latitude computer with 2 gig run at 3-4 times the speed that if you had Windows 7 on it. And there are plenty of people out there who have the older units. You know, I myself, I'm a big believer in, I do not want to spend any money on, so the whole computer industry has gotten used to us. They're treating us like the telephone industry. Every year there's a new model phone you got to have. You've got to upgrade. You've got to do this. I mean, how many platforms of Windows has come out since they shut down XP? I got 7, 8, 8.1, 10. You know, that's 4 in 2 years. That's too many. So there's reasons for it. And this Windows 10, they're going to get you at the user end. Everything that you've been used to doing for free on Windows, there's now going to be a monthly service charge. Whether, you know, and this could even go down into like the games, you know, if you play chess or Minecraft, whatever, you are now something that used to be free, you're going to end up paying a couple bucks a month for.
Well, they certainly don't put that in their freebie ad.
Well, no, of course they don't, but they have the right to change that. That's in the agreement. When you say, yes, I will upgrade.
What's
So,
malware?
Malware is basically some nasties that get in your cache or in your history that can slow you down. There are different levels of it. It can come in through it's mostly depending on the programs that people run. They load up things to slow your computer down. So hopefully you will spend money to buy things to remove them to speed your computer up.
Oh.
It's a con. It's a con. Okay?
So
It's a scam. It's a government. It's a government scam, and all the governments are doing it. Never hear
yeah,
the NSA breaking any of these things. Why can't they? They can certainly tell within 6 hours. If North Korea has hacked a Hollywood studio, but they can't stop any of these spam emails that come to people's mailboxes. They can't stop these infectious pop-ups. This is all governments raising money and getting their kickback through the corporations that they let this stuff happen to. And this is particularly why Linux is, in this instance, is better than Windows, because they don't put up with that. It's free, all right? And because there are so many advanced level people who are in this Linux community worldwide that are all writers and coders and stuff of this nature, there are so many different platforms that are available that are all custom designed, that are free. People go, oh, well, there are so many of them. You sit down at a Windows computer, click start, the beautiful field pops up, you go around and you click and you get into what you're doing. Well, Linux is the same way, but they also have people that have, well, this is my own puppy Linux, their own platform. So there are all these different unique platforms. They work the same way. They're just tweaked a little bit differently, depending on what your needs or wants are. And after you do it for a few years, you'll say, oh, I'll try that. And then you find out that when you want to try a new one, all your settings, passwords, everything are all saved. These are, this is, this is a rookie computer user's best friend you could ever do ever. This is like having insurance. Once you get used to Linux, you'll never go back to Windows ever. You have it for those people who have never used a Linux. They need to do it, or but an individual like you or of such caliber, within a week, you'd be going, I don't want anything. I don't want to start Windows. But yet you could have Windows and Linux on the same computer and run them both. So, there. It's all about getting people to the understanding when they say people should do good for humanity. Well, the Linux community is doing good for the computer humanity. It's just that people have to be willing to take that step to say, this is good. I'm going to do it. Once they get that attitude, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give this a try. I'm interested.
what does
Go ahead.
what does distro mean?
That's a short term for distribution. All right. So where I said there were many different programmers, writers, and coders out there, the distribution that I recommend people to switch over on is Linux Lite, and it's a fully loaded system. It's less than a gig. You look at any Windows platform and you're talking 3.5, 4 gig. So here comes a system that's fully loaded with more than what your standard home-based Windows does, and it's 3 gig lighter. But it does everything. It has its own media player, has it, VLC. Skype's already on it. Your video editors, your image editors, things that you have to download, and you have to get the drivers. You have to go through it. It's just unbelievably smooth. And there are so many less things that you have to do.
Well, it's like you said, you don't need to buy an antivirus program for this.
look. I have an antivirus that I run on my Linux, and it's free, and it takes, I don't know, a grand total of, if I go from start to finish, might take me 20 minutes. But I select my files. I do my cache, and I do my Firefox, my Mozilla file, and I scan those daily. And sure enough, Facebook, I have found, has really been a drama for me the past few months. I noticed that if I open up Facebook on my computer, just Facebook running, within 15, 20 minutes, my computer dramatically slows down. I close it and give it a minute or two, and it speeds back up. So there's a lot of bad things coming through if anyone's on Facebook. They can just sort of expect that type of behavior. So, but no, again, I'm a friendly guy to deal with. I'm very competent. I can get the average individual. Now, obviously, there's going to be a factor of what people comprehend, what they understand, and I try to keep everything very, very, very simple. I'm already telling them, this is the system you want to put in. There's plenty of support we've got for this worldwide. There were videos. I am a big fan of watching people on platforms such as Vimeo, YouTube, that show you how to fix things. Everything I learned to do on a computer, I learned via YouTube and having to fix things myself. I started like anyone else did 10 years ago, where someone was telling me about push F8 to get into safe mode. I remember going, what's that? I got to push F8. I got to push something that's not a letter, and it seems strange. Now, look, all I can say is, if people are really serious, if they want to fix their problems and they want to do it and get over on a platform that is so parallel, that you read the same language, the same things are written. There are just a few things that are done differently. Whether you're living in England or living in India, might have to kick your shoes off in the house, or there are just a few things that are done differently.
So, Jerry, if people want to do this, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, I have a really unique name. My last name is Test, T-E-S-T. And look, you can find me on Facebook at Jerry Test. And I'm more than happy to help people within 10 minutes. I can tell whether I can help someone or not. And that's the honest to goodness truth. If I can get them 10 minutes and they're sitting down at their computer and say, okay, we need to go into start, we need to click here, I'll get them into their system to tell me if they've got a 32-bit or a 64-bit. They just got to click a couple buttons, and from doing that, I'll know if they're competent to help or not. And that's, and questions are free, without any problem. So, I'll help anyone out if I can, and if I can't, I'll tell them. How does that sound?
I think that sounds pretty nice. I know you're working with me,
Yeah.
and poor guy, and you show a lot of patience, and I really appreciate that. So, as we progress, well, I'll also share my progression with everybody on the radio.
Well, look, I'm sincere about this. Anything to get away from these big, huge corporations that have pushed through, have pushed through governments like TPP, the the Trans-Pacific Trade Act, the Trans-Atlantic Trade Pact, that are moving offshore so they can exploit anyone for slave labor. And these people are spying on you. Why do you want to make this easy? Why would you want to make this easy? I myself would have always come to the opinion that I don't want to make it easy for any government, anything, to have access to my information. And this comes even more true today than it did 2 years ago. And I think the world's waking up to that.
No, I'm right there with you on that. I don't want them to have any of my information. It's none of their business. I don't do anything.
But that's right. It's none of the information. It's none of their business. There's no way for your civil servants to be treating you. So look, there's going to be backdoors in Linux too, but let me tell you what. There are probably, if your computer came under the scrutiny of investigatory services or colleagues in the NSA or in the American government, if they wanted to know about you, they're going to know about you. All right, that's it. But they're going to have to get more refined individuals to do that. Again, you put a Linux system in front of someone, it's going to, average programmer, they've all learned on Windows. So they won't know how to enter the correct command lines to break in.
That makes my day. Yeah, it reminds me of, oh my God, this is about 20 years ago when the government really didn't have their wiretapping together, and they were wiretapping me in my store in California. And I would get mad one day and I would switch to a different phone company. I was in California. And that actually gave me at least a week's, of clear talking with people and not being spied on, because they had to literally switch over. But it's not that way anymore, huh?
Well, I wouldn't know, but I certainly would suspect it's a whole heck of a lot easier for them. They can, if they want, they can turn on your phone speaker without knowing your cameras to report on you. They have things that are already written into the motherboard where they can see what you are doing on computers. This is what happens when you have very rogue people who are pretending to be your government.
Well, let's get back to Linux. You you have in here, it follows the ext4 file system. What does that mean?
Oh, let's skip that. All right, come on, let's keep it simple. All right, if someone wants to find out, it's just a different processing manner. All right. So, I mean, I'm not trying to keep away from it. It's a faster processing manner.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's all I'm going to say about it. Yeah. I mean, that's yeah. Well, no, that's boring. That's not sexy.
Okay, well, I don't even know what it means,
faster,
so we could move on.
It's faster. It's better. Okay. Why? Because you won't understand it, but it's sexy. You just don't know it.
All right, learn by doing. Only a man would turn computers into sex, huh?
Yeah, that would be, yeah. I didn't turn it into sex. Look, come on. When was the last time you read a computer show. I mean, I don't remember them having really fat looking computer models out there.
What's the last time I was at a
Yeah.
computer show? I'm sorry. Like never.
Well, that's right.
Um, so then actually, when you go to Linux, you're just saying that it's so easy to shift over, you don't have to buy any new software
Yes,
or anything
look,
like that.
there's always going to be someone that has that problematic individual personality. They are always, always, and these are probably the ones who are the most clever, like a fox too. But there's always going to be. I don't understand. I don't get it. Why can't they make it like that? Look, I personally, I don't. If I see that type of personality break out, I cut my losses and go and just and go. Well, look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It can't work out. You know, maybe you can get someone to load it for you. Local computer guy. He'll have it done in an hour and probably get it less than $50. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what a local computer guy charges for such a thing. So
It's about 50 an hour here in Hawaii.
yeah.
Or
All right.
maybe he's
So
gone up
yeah,
to 60.
yeah. All right. All right. You're floating right around that $50, bit. All right. Spend $50 to fight the corporation to be free forever on the computer. And I even run it on my smartphone. All right. I run a Linux on my phone, and it's great. I love it. I honestly, because it works with such ease and functions. Its updates are always clean. There's never any of this dirty nasties that come through that want to try to take over your computer. If there's ever something that is out there, that instantly you have a worldwide community of very smart programmers, coders, and such, who are instantly onto a problem. So many
So
eyes.
so it's easy to put it on the iPhone then, yeah?
Doing a phone is a little bit different than doing a computer. The system is called bricking, where you actually wipe the software off and you put on a different software. That's actually called bricking the phone. Not breaking, but like a brick, like you throw a brick at it. Um, but then that voids any warranty. Someone says, "Oh,
Well,
there's no warranty."
whatever. I don't even know right now what's on my iPhone, but I know I get people trying to come in all the time and take information from it.
Well, it's the most popular phone in the world, isn't it?
Is it?
So that would be the software that people would want to write, is to get into the Apple iPhone.
It makes so much sense.
Well, it's all simple. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
mean, it all comes down to the money and the big corporations and the kickbacks to governments and elections and who's going to get the contract to rebuild this or that. This is all a big sham. Anyone who even openly says, "Oh, well, I can't learn, so I got to stick with Windows." Well, hey, look, you're going to be the first to fall. And the people who run Windows, they should be the least scared. They are the most battle hardened individual people on the internet, because they're always having to deal with a virus or something they got to download and run and do this and search for a clean on that, having there's always something. There's always a fence to mend in the Windows backyard.
It seems that way. Certainly getting enough updates.
And that's frightening in itself. All right. Remember back to when you weren't getting updates, they used to do an update the first Tuesday of the month. That was the Windows update, the big one. That was their security update. It used to happen once a month. All right. With all these updates, imagine someone who's on like a pay-as-you-go plan, and he blows through his download. You, you know, all of a
Well,
sudden,
I'm finding though, Jer, is that when they're downloading, I am literally knocked offline where I can't, get on Firefox. I can't do anything until they're done loading and the computer's rebooted.
that's good, isn't it?
Oh yeah, good times.
And you pay for this. And you pay for this. You know, Marquis de Sade sort of type of stuff. People who run Windows and have never tried the new Linux platforms that are available to them for free, all right? It doesn't get any freer than free, but we're not going to pay you to use it. But it's free, and it's faster, and it's better. And it's an easy switch over. It's easy. I'm telling you, it is easy. You'll never look back. You'll never look back. Ever.
Well,
Ever.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am. And I know we have an appointment to help me work this out. Now, the only thing you've encouraged me is to get some USB sticks. And why, you want to tell people why we need that?
Look, because I'm going to give you a Linux platform that you're going to download, and you're going to install it on disk or a USB, whichever you prefer. A lot of newer computers don't have the DVD disk option anymore. That's antiquated. They have room for USB, so this is where we're going to put a Linux operating system platform. And there are a few things that we have to do it. You need at least 2 gig. So a 2 to 4 gig, an old USB laying around, 2 gig. I can get you up and going.
And that's doing it without losing any of your Windows information?
That is correct. That is correct. You can actually run Linux off of the USB stick, something that you could not do on a Windows. If you had Windows put on a USB, you'd have to go through and load all the files. The Linux, you can actually run a Linux platform through the USB, which is amazing because you plug it in and click start, and it says, do you want to start Linux or Windows? You start your Linux and it fires just up just like that. That would never, that does not happen on a Mac or on a Windows, but it does for Linux. So that means you can take your computer system with you everywhere you go on a keychain. You want to fire up and do something, so you're not worried about getting other people's nasties, whatever. Turn on your Linux from a 2 gig USB. It's amazing, you know. It is, again. It's amazing. It's like trying to explain air conditioning, power steering, and a big block V8 to go with it. You know, it's a Sportster. It's everyone's dream, and it gives you so many freedoms that you can't even begin to understand till once you start doing it.
All right. So how do people get a hold of you again, Jerry, if they want to switch?
I'm at Jerry Test at Facebook, and I'm been here in the radio room for 2 weeks as Glass FX, saying hi to people in here. So if anyone wants any information, Jerry, Jerry, Test, TEST on Facebook. And I'm in the Gold Coast in Australia, so you'll know that that's me. Send me a message. I'll gladly respond and see if I can help you.
Sweet. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to our date and our experience and putting my computer over. Oh, I think we're almost out of time.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to hear your bit on the Fukushima.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't
All
like
right.
talking about that, but I will. It's just what came
No,
up.
that's it. Look, it has to be said. Has to be said. That's an extinction level event. Or that's my thoughts on it.
That's what it is about. God, you almost read my paper. Dang. But it is. Like
All right. Well,
mine.
yeah. Well, hey, thank you very much for having me on, and hopefully have eased a few fears. Thank you.
Oh, a lot, Jared. And then after we do the switch, we'll bring you back on and we'll talk about how easy it was for me to do this.
And you have to tell the truth. You can't lie.
Of course. That's bad karma.
Okay. Well, I'm a guy. I'll lie. Okay. So
Okay, everybody, you heard that. He does, I don't. Perfect teamwork. But we are looking forward, to bringing you back, at least I am, because when I do, we will have gone through and switched over everything, which I said, I'm so tired of the pop-ups. It's incredible. And I know a lot of people are not getting them. So it's like, boy, why do I feel so special? Huh?
Because you're special.
Okay, I'm special. What can I say? But I do
Thank you so very
appreciate
much.
you coming on and giving us all this information. Like you said, I don't think a lot of people even heard about this. And I hope they give you a call. So aloha, everybody. We're on break and we'll be back shortly. Well, welcome back, everybody. This is Cathy Bilsky, the Quantum Leap Let Light Unite show, the second half, and this is December 15th, 2015. And I'm glad you could join me back. Excuse me. Now, Revolution Radio is definitely listener sponsored, and we do donate, depend on your donations for keeping everything going. No one gets paid for doing the radio shows, and it's all volunteer. So, Liz, do you want to come on and tell them what kind of specials you have for the Christmas season for those that donate?
Oh, wow. You caught me at a loss for words here. I know that anything that we make over our goal this month will be divided between Meals for Vets and Toys for Tots. There's also a special on for a uncirculated silver dollar, and I'm pretty sure that's a $75 donation. Also, for a $75 donation, you can specify for a down the rabbit hole stuffed rabbit that I make personally for you. Just contact Nighthawk at freedomslips.com. That's NITEHAWK, and specify what you want. Donate button is on the homepage. Or you can go to PayPal and make a donation through there. All donations are very much appreciated, and they keep great voices like Cathy Bilsky here on the air so she can spread her knowledge to everyone.
I love you. I'm going to bring you on more often.
Well, I have learned a lot from you, Miss Bilsky.
Oh, thank you. I needed that little blurb tonight, and thank you for making that easy for me. I'm like the one-eyed bandit tonight. And I'll explain as the weeks to come, and you'll get that. But right now, y'all don't have to understand it. And if you want to know about me, you can also go to my website at www.angeliteom.com. That's ANGELITEOM.com, where I have all my really cool Angelite tools. And I have the curse removal that you can actually download for free if you go to Free Healing. I have a couple books online. And I finally did something that I've wanted to do for a long, long time. I actually did a videotape of me doing the energy balancing curse removal, and I have that up on YouTube. So if you ever are really in need, you can go to YouTube, and just remember that you're going to see me visually, but my words are more important than you watching my actions. So when you decide to do it and listen to the YouTube program, close your eyes and just listen to the words like you're doing in radio and allow the magic to happen. I'm also on Facebook under Catherine Marie Bilsky, which is my real name, or Cathy Bilsky. And if you have any comments, you can comment on my public page under Catherine. I'm also on Twitter and LinkedIn. So, oh yeah, Google Plus. God, I'm all over the place lately. Oh, it's kind of scary. Anyway, you can catch up all the old shows up on YouTube. I do have, like I said, the curse removal up there. I also have the soul retrieval. If you're in need of that, I have a back-to-back soul retrieval. And it's taking, really going and moving forward and removing energy implants and curses, but it's pulling into your energy and bringing back to you all your energy, your divine energy that you've given away or people have taken from you with or without your permission from all your incarnations, past, present, future, planetary. It is shamanic, and it takes about an hour to go through. Now, all these processes, you can also, if you want something more personal or more work done, you can call me at my store in Hawaii at 808-775-9400. And I'm there safely from 11 to 4. And I have caller ID, so I will call you back unless you are out of country. Then that won't happen, and you'll have to call me back. I also, for people that come into the store, I do free little mini massages with my Angelite tools, and you can lay on my Angelite table for free. Hug my big Earth Keepers, and I actually have the largest Earth Keeper crystal in Hawaii. It's over 1,000 pounds. It's a smoky quartz celestial, and you can come and hug her and just sit really quiet by her and think of your thoughts and your dreams of what you'd like to have happen. And, she really helps you manifest. And then I have another Earth Keeper crystal that's 650 pounds that you can come sit on. It's what I call a honu. It actually looks like a little turtle. And that's on the big island of Hawaii in Honoka'a. So come on out if you need a little vacation time. Come swim with the dolphins. Come hang out at my store. It is paradise. So this half of the show, we're going to talk a little bit about Fukushima and what I found really, really awesome. And that came up today was the court rules the Bush administration can be sued for its war on terror conduct. Hold me up, and are you all sitting down? For almost a decade and a half, and for those of you that don't do math well, that's like 15 years. The people behind the Bush administration's shameful treatment of terrorism suspects have avoided punishment for their crimes, but that may be about to change. Bells and whistles. The courts have had their say and have ruled that former Bush administration officials can, in fact, be sued for how they conducted the war on terror. The Second Circuit Court of Appeals made that pretty much official on Friday when it refused to hear a challenge to its earlier ruling in the case of Turkmen and Ashcroft. That case involves hundreds of Arab, Muslim, and South Asian men who were detained and then abused by our government in the weeks following 9/11. Some of them were beaten by security guards and kept in solitary confinement, which the United Nations considers a form of torture. After they were released, these men sued the people they say authorized their detention. People like former Attorney General John Ashcroft and former FBI Director Robert Mueller. The district court initially blocked their claims, but in June, the Second Circuit Court allowed them, saying that Ashcroft, Mueller, and company could be sued. The government then made one more last-ditch push to protect the Bush administration, but that effort failed last Friday when the Second Circuit rejected it. I guess their magic didn't work. Everyone else who authorized and participated in the illegal roundup of hundreds of innocent men after 9/11, from high-up government officials on down, is now fair game for a lawsuit. I think this is great news. Although President Obama has done some things for some of the worst abusers of the Bush administration, we've never had a true national reckoning with what actually went on from 2001 to 2009. Bush, Cheney, and company took us into some very, very dark places after 9/11, and the detention of hundreds of innocent people slowly on the basis of their race or religion is just the tip of the iceberg of what the Bush administration did. They lied us into illegal wars that killed thousands of Americans and millions of Iraqis and Afghan civilians. They also tortured terrorism suspects, many of whom turned out to be innocent in violation of international law and U.S. law. And oh yeah, they also created the Guantanamo Bay Detention Center, which to this day remains one of the best recruitment tools in the world for groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And that list goes on and on. Obviously, the Obama administration doesn't exactly have a stellar record when it comes to the war on terror either. The drone wars just being one example. But even so, the Bush administration still bears the ultimate responsibility for taking our country down the path we're still on a full decade and a half after 9/11. And that's why we need to prosecute anyone in Bush administration who participated in these crimes. Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld, Wolfowitz, Ashcroft, everyone right now. Like any self-proclaimed democracy, the United States can and should be a moral force for good in the world, but it can't be one when its biggest war criminals in its history gets off scot-free. The decision by the Second Circuit Court of Appeals allowing lawsuits against people like former Attorney General John Ashcroft is a big step in the right direction. It opens up a new path for our country, a path that offers us the chance for a national redemption, kind of. Now, this was published in Truth Out, and it was published to come out today. Awesome. I thought that was great news. So now let's jump to Fukushima. And for those of you that don't remember, which is a side effect of radiation, memory loss, there was a nuclear accident in Japan in 2011 that has gone on unchecked until this day, and it still goes on unchecked, spewing a lot of radiation into the air that's going all over the world many times. And really, there is nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and there are no exceptions. And who is breathing radiation now? Now, the March 11th, 2011 explosion of 4 reactors and wrecking of 2 more reactors at Fukushima Daiichi, Fukushima Prefecture, Japan, is an ongoing extinction level event for all creatures on Earth including all humans. Now, 3 years and months later, hot radioactive particles, rad particles, still are spewing. The rad particles have to stop going up over there before they stop coming down over anywhere else. Saying is pretty simple. Making it happen is not. The radiation is so intense in the reactor building, it kills humans in 7 minutes. Robots are dead in 2 hours. Walking ghosts. Many government, institutional, and private speakers use the radioactive element, cesium-137, as the amount of radioactivity in the air, land, and sea today. Now, that's only partially true. CS-137 is merely one of 1,946 known lethal radioactive isotopes created by atomic bombs and atomic reactors when detonated or operated properly and by the book. That's exactly what atomic reactors are supposed to do. Make 1,946 isotopes. The heat to make steam is a simple byproduct. This is a nasty nuclear process and cannot be stopped or reversed. Dr. Paolo Scampa, a physicist in the European Union, recently stated the CS-137 radioactivity from Fukushima Daiichi is about 9,889 E18 becquerel and around 21,000 kilograms. This activity represents a potential internal radiotoxicity of 6.61 billion lethal doses by inhalation and 17,900 billion lethal doses LD by ingestion. That's just the amount of cesium-137 lethal doses from 3 reactor core storage pits. Much of this is in the air's earth, soil, and water now. What's more, the lethality level of the Fukushima reactors burning radioactive aerosols and gases keeps going up for the next 350 years. That's 17.91 billion lethal doses by ingestion, chasing the 7.3 billion of us on the planet now. And there are 1,946 known radioactive killer isotope poisons on this list. Now, the odds are definitely not in our favor. It only takes one of these little poisonous, invisible devils each to maim and kill us all. There is much more radioactive poison in the other 4 40-foot deep temporary reactor core holding pits and charging out of the 6 trash reactors. 350 years from now, from 2013, is about 14 generations, or the year 2363. We're still, after 350 years of increased lethality, the radiotoxicity level does not decline, it just levels off. And all our kind will simply be dead and gone. And that's the affair of the Fukushima. We are on extinction level. However, as bad as this gets, I am a follower of Satya Sai Baba. And to me, when he was alive, he was God in physical form on earth. I got to go to India 3 times, and I truly don't do what I do without knowing that he is standing behind me, protecting me. Now, he has come back into 2 incarnations. One was in the early 1900s as Satya Sai. That was Satya Shirdi Baba. This one recently, where she just passed away from a couple years ago, that was Satya Sai Baba. Now, he has predicted and he has said he's going to come back one more time as Prima Sai. And that, everybody, gives me a lot of hope that we are going to change the planet, that no matter what is being said, we will shift it. Magic can do much. Radio. Oops, sorry. And I believe, we are magical beings and we can do anything when we put our creative energies together. And we've seen that over and over a time by us even coming together on radio. We've made magic happen. So it can be done, and my belief, it will be done. And it can happen in a heartbeat. That's how quick things can change. So you have to be aware that things are very, very dire and act accordingly. Have to do more cleanses, pay more attention to your children, do more vitamins and minerals. Add natural antibiotic food into your system. It really makes a difference. And that's just a few things, and you have to talk about it. Now, I came across this article also today. I love it when God puts things into my space. And this was also written by Bob Nichols. And after I share this with you, I will share with you the radiation level for this week. And of course, it's not good. And he wrote an article, and it's called Fukushima. Japan goes to war. Giant nuke weapons aimed at the U.S. is switched on. Now, when I read that, I just kind of sucked my breath, and I've said it a few times, that if there was any country out there that really has lost their right to govern, it is Japan. And if there was ever a country that needed to be invaded for what they are doing to the world, just from the nuclear radiation they're allowing to go forth from Fukushima, is Japan. And even if you just invaded the country to take over the nuclear mess, please, hallelujah. So now I come across this, Fukushima, Japan goes to war. And I went, oh my God. Now, Japan is readying 6 huge, long, acting nuclear weapons for immediate use against countries' economic and military foes. Chief among those is the United States. The weapon is radioactive poison gas from the 6 destroyed American reactors and old reactor cores at Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. Fukushima Daiichi is now fully weaponized in concept and in just days in real life. Long denied their own nuclear weapons by the U.S., their World War II wartime conqueror, rebuilder, master, and patron, the Japanese are commonly thought by insiders to be capable of building nuclear weapons easily over a weekend. This aggressive approach is even more ingenious and imaginative. In an instant, on March 11, 2011, at Fukushima Daiichi Nuclear Power Station, 3, possibly 6, large atomic reactors were turned into armed and functioning stationary nuclear weapons, ostensibly by a very large, curious earthquake and devastating tsunami. Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant's 6 reactors transformed into possibly 6 huge radioactive isotope spewing nuclear weapons, potentially as much as the equivalent of about 2,000 Hiroshima atomic bombs over a period of months and even years. Japanese Prime Minister Khan and the cabinet were notified immediately. Unlike the Chernobyl nuclear disaster involving only 1 reactor 6 months out, the Fukushima smash-up is no closer to being contained, as the government cheerfully puts it, than it was on day 1, March 11, 2011, and it is to this day. Atomic bombs like the one that incinerated Hiroshima creates more than 14,000 radioactive and highly lethal isotopes or radioactive variations of the metal uranium. Atomic reactors do the same thing, since they are merely vastly slowed down, very large atomic bombs. Now, as a result of stunning Japanese ingenuity, the unparalleled nuclear fury disease and concentrated death of the out-of-control reactors will be aimed directly at the United States. Nothing short of a full-scale U.S. invasion and bombing can turn the situation around. For more than 6 months, Fukushima nuclear power reactors have irradiated Japan and nearby countries such as Russia, China, South Korea, and North Korea. For the most part, the tents turn all around. The die is cast. The Japanese leadership has made their decision. So be it. To date, American President Obama has done nothing that veterans today knows of to stem this dire, immediate, and active nuclear threat to all residents of the United States and the whole world. The 6 Fukushima Daiichi nuclear weapons are in northern Japan on the Pacific coast, facing the west coast of the United States. Travel time from Fukushima to San Francisco, Seattle, or LA is a few minutes by U.S. space-based weapons system and others that are up there. Japan's Fukushima Daiichi poison gas nuclear fallout is deployed by steady easterly winds and is much more dependable than space-based weapons. The one-way trip from Fukushima's crippled reactors to San Francisco and LA and Seattle takes a minor 4 days by the ever-present jet stream winds and as much as 9 days by the lower level winds. This is nothing new. It has been the case since the Fukushima disaster, March 11th, 2011. Overbuilt, armored, and brutally strong tent leg poles are shown close up of an unfinished Fukushima radiation gas pump chimney to poison millions of Americans. What is new is that the Japanese government, the Japanese Self-Defense Forces, and their corporate favorite, TEPCO, the Tokyo Electric Power Company, are encasing the semi-permanent radiation spewing stationary nuclear weapons in giant building size tents or weapons condoms. Powerful fans collect and pump the highly radioactive uranium gas and aerosols through armored chimneys directly into the air far above Fukushima's Daiichi's wrecked nukes. From there, the radioactive gas heads east to the United States. Since poison gas is imprecise, Mexico and Canada are also at risk. Japan's weapons breakthrough was thinking of them as big nuclear weapons in the first place. All in all, Fukushima Daiichi is a rather natural and organic weapon systems with 6 known core devices manufactured by weapons maker GE, which is General Electric. The nuke's reactor design was first used in the U.S. fast attack nuclear submarines. The trash nukes are now enormous nuclear weapons designed from the ground up to kill and maim American residents in large numbers. The faithful and dying Japanese kamikaze workers at Fukushima Daiichi could even hook up solar panels and tide-based electrical generators for an almost limitless supply of free electricity to run the huge air pumps to push the hot radioactive gas and aerosols high into the air for decades, or until they are destroyed, whichever comes first. Please destroy the rad gas generators, Mr. President. The building-sized tents, conceal and armor chimneys and high-velocity air pumps constitute arm and firing nuclear weapons aimed at the United States. The intensely radioactive poison gas is blanketing the USA with no foreseeable end in sight, and it just doesn't stop there. There's no invisible borders or bricks keeping it in. This stuff goes around the world. There is nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. The president is left with no choice but to use any means necessary to protect the United States. As a result, nothing should be off the table. It's your move, Mr. President. Now that is a very interesting take on what's going on in Japan and the nuclear reactor. All right, so now I'm going to give you your radiation level, and I'm just going to give you this. I'm going to name off the cities to save my voice tonight. All of these cities are over 1,000 CPMs, over 1,000 rads. Now, anything over 20, guys, is really considered bad for us, okay? Now, the leader of the pack who has the highest radiation level in the country right now is Yuma, Arizona, at 1,767, and it's going to go down from there. All right, so now we've got over 1,000. Spokane, Washington, Colorado Springs, Miami, Florida, San Diego, California, El Paso, Texas, Bakersfield, California, Portland, Mexico, Navajo Lake, New Mexico, Phoenix, Arizona, Raleigh, North Carolina, Anaheim, California, Pittsburgh, Idaho Falls, Idaho, Fresno, California, Reno, Nevada, Louisville, Kentucky, Charleston, West Virginia, Worcester, Massachusetts, Pierre, South Dakota, Rapid City, South Dakota, Little Rock, Arkansas, Tucson, Arizona, Amarillo, Texas, Riverside, California, Bismarck, North Dakota, Madison, Wisconsin, Billings, Montana, Los Angeles, California, Rochester, New York, Wichita, Kansas, San Bernardino City, California, Mason City, Iowa, Harrisburg, Virginia, Laredo, Texas, Hartford, Connecticut, Denver, Colorado, St. George, Utah, Kearney, Nevada. Now, the lowest of the radiation level is, I know you already know this one, yes, it's Washington, D.C. They're at 492, and that's their high. Their lowest is 268. Yeah, I wish they would share with us what they're doing so the rest of the country can get to low. And even that is high. But, 492 makes 1700 look really good, bad, huh? Or I could reverse that. All right, so let's talk about St. Louis and the radiation problem over there. St. Louis, now and forevermore, will be remembered as a Manhattan Project nuclear garbage dump. It was for the most poisonous, flammable elements in the universe that just happened to be also radioactive. What will happen to the pieces of the rocks that incinerated Hiroshima, Japan, and turned former people into shadows on the concrete? Nagasaki was blown away by plutonium manufactured by all reactors. What is going on at the St. Louis Federal Nuclear Garbage Dump is the two have more or less run together 100 to 200 feet below the ground. This is out by the airport in a poor section of town in a floodplain. As garbage dumps frequently do, it caught on fire. Now, this is not very unusual. However, hundreds of tons, if not thousands of tons, of highly radioactive flammable rocks mixed with or next to the garbage dump is not solvable in this lifetime or ever. As readers and commentators have pointed out, the nuke fire at St. Louis could be the result of many different things or nothing at all. That is real plausible deniability. An old term fired President Nixon popularized that plausible deniability. The real criminals are the long dead people who thought of digging a plain hole in the ground for the uranium bomb making leftovers from the Manhattan Project in the first place. And those workers who buried it many years ago, their atomic legacy just keeps on killing. St. Louis is certainly not alone in experience the reckless disregard for life and health of the powerful federal private Manhattan Project. The same highly radioactive throwaway from building the bombs are used as an underpavement for roads in Niagara Falls, New York, and West Chicago, Illinois. Did you know that one? There are no doubt more cities with such a curse from World War II days and from the 1950s. The St. Louis dump grounds now make up a giant nuclear powdered cooking pot because the uranium brings its own heat with its own free built-in property. This stuff burns really hot, up to 10,830 degrees Fahrenheit. A real devil's brew of explosive and poisonous stuff is cooking in St. Louis. Worse, it is probably already on fire, up to 200 feet below ground. The garbage fire is called a smoldering fire and is starved for oxygen. Digging it up is not a good idea, and since that just exposes the burning garbage fire to more oxygen. The uranium products don't require oxygen to burn. Uranium products can burn without oxygen and underwater. It makes no difference. Plus, the fine uranium particles can catch on fire at room temperature all by themselves. No ignition sources are required. When people use the old expression, it was bound to happen, this is one of those things. Now, 70 years later, it is kind of a perfect crime. The original perps are long dead and buried, or almost dead. The feds are using a standard covered story that emphasizes that it was an illegal dumping operation of radioactive waste. Ha! That's preposterous. The hundreds or thousands of workers, ranging from engineers to laborers digging a huge hole out by the airport, did exactly what they were told to do by the Manhattan Project. The feds are just trying to escape liability by these idiotic lies. The feds broke it. Now they have to pay to fix the impossible situation the folks are in now. It's theirs now, not 50 years from now. Uranium is also chemically active. It can and does provoke the creation of explosive and poisonous gases at the St. Louis garbage nuke dump that migrate through the upper layers of dirt to poison and harm people in St. Louis. That is the natural way of things when substances are exposed to radiolysis. It is defined by the Free Dictionary as radiolysis, molecular decomposition of a substance as a result of recommendation. All I can say is, people, get the hell out of town. Now, in Amarillo, a word about Amarillo, Texas, since we all know what was there needs to be said little about that. The RAD report from EPA and all the historical RAD records are totally gone, totally blown away. There's nothing left to report. The RAD numbers now or in the past of EPA records vanished overnight. Now, California leads the nation in population. California also has 9 cities above 900 CPM level of ionizing radiation. Now, those cities are San Diego, Bakersfield, Anaheim, Fresno, Riverside, LA, San Bernardino County, Sacramento, and San Francisco. I don't want to move there. Good Lord. Well, with what little time we have left, let's just send love out to all the places on the planet that need light. Imagine yourself in this big stadium with all these people of like mind linking up, and we're sending out in like mind light to all the darkest places on the planet. And that includes Fukushima. Let's send some positive energy to all the people in power. May they reconnect to the Creator and become enlightened, awakened spiritual beings. Let's send energy out to all our family, all our friends, all our loved ones, all the people out there that need healing work, that are sick. Let them receive this energy so they can to get better. Let's ask for permission of everyone on the planet and imagine them reconnecting to the Creator so they also become awakened spiritual beings. Kind, loving, compassionate, full of wonderful ideas on how to take us forward into the golden age of enlightenment. So fill that up with light and love and amplify it and see this energy being released to the planet. Now, next week, if all goes well, I'm going to have a reporter, an Afghanistan reporter, come in and talk about what life is really like in Afghanistan. So that should be very, very interesting, and also something I've not done well, and I've not done before. I really like to hear from people that are there, are live it, not from what you're getting in the papers that you really can't believe. Wow, Liz, I think we got more time than 5 minutes, don't we? Than 1 minute?
It looks like you've got about 10.
Okay.
Now, surely you haven't ran out of something to talk about, Cathy.
Oh, not me. Well, if we've got 10 minutes, let's do a energy balance and curse removal real quick, all right? So everyone, put your feet flat on the floor, sit straight up, put your hands on your lap, and I want you to take some gentle, deep breaths, but not so you hyperventilate on me. And while you're doing that, I'm going to surround each one of you in your own bubble of light, of golden flame. I'm going to add the blue flame of protection, the violet flame of transmutation, the green flame of healing, and we're going to seal you in the pink flame of love. And we're going to bring in all your divine teachers and masters. And imagine, again, you're sitting in this big stadium and all these people are high, high energy. And we're all going to link together and make this energy work even more profound, but gentle, loving, and kind. So take one more deep breath and exhale out everything that no longer serves you, and imagine it going through the violet flame back to God, and you fill up with your divine essence. Now I want you to imagine this incredible divine healing energy coming down the top of your head, and let it go out your third eye, which is your forehead. And now feel that energy flow down even farther, so it's now coming out of your throat chakra. Now let that divine energy come out of your heart chakra. And feel it flow out of your solar plexus. And now let it come out of your belly button chakra. And now feel it flow down even farther, so it comes out of your sacral. And now allow that divine energy to flow down even farther, and let it come out of your root chakra. So feel that divine energy flow all the way down your legs. Let it go out your feet and send it into the earth. Let it flow down your arms and out your hands, and imagine it flowing down your spine. So take one more deep breath and exhale out everything that no longer serves you, that's left in your body, and imagine it going out as you exhale, and it goes through the violet flame back to God, and you fill up with your divine essence. As you're doing that, I call to Michael the Archangel to come forth and cut all ties to any energy you've taken on that's not yours, whether it's from a friend, relative, acquaintance, stranger, anybody you work with, TV set, animal, whatever the karmic reason is, it created anything out of balance in your life or your body today. And as all that unwanted energy is peeled off of you gently like an onion skin, it all goes through the violet flame back to God, and you fill up with your divine essence. And now I want Michael to come forth, cut all ties to reptile, dinosaur energy, secret societies, organized religion, cut all ties to any oaths, vows, curses, hexes, rituals that could have been done to you or your family, going backwards and forwards, hundreds of thousands of generations, or anything you could have done consciously or unconsciously. And as all that unwanted energy too is peeled off of you gently like an onion skin, it all goes through the violet flame back to God, and you fill up with more of your divine essence. And now I want Michael to come forth, cut all ties to any effigies that have been misused against you, and that's any elemental of yours that was used to hurt you or anyone, including anything you own, clothes, hair, picture, your name spoken, written, just thought of, or anything you have your energy on, your name spoken or just thought of. And as ties to all those elementals are cut, we call the violet flame through them to clean it up, the angel light energy to heal. We fill them up with love. We command them to be neutral or only emit love. And now I want Michael to come forth, remove any energy implants that have been done to you or anything that could have carried over from any other lifetime because of dark magic, voodoo, or dark witchcraft, or even just dark thoughts. So I want the stick, pin, needle, or knife that's in your crown chakra removed from your third eye, your throat, heart, solar plexus, belly button, root, feet, hands, spine, your eyes, ears, nose, mouth, hips, teeth, anywhere in your body that's out of balance. And as you feel all those pins, needles, and knives being very gently removed, imagine all those spaces immediately fill up with the violet flame to clean it up, the angel light energy to heal. We release all that unwanted energy back to God, and you fill up with more of your divine essence. And now I want Michael to come forth, cut all ties to any energy implants that have been done to you, whether it's physical or etheric. And as ties to those are cut, we again call the violet flame through them to clean it up, the angel light energy to heal. We fill them up with love. We command them to be neutral and to be gently released from your bodies later on. And now I want Michael to come forth, cut all ties to patriarchy, genocide, rape, incest, slavery, prostitution, persecution, circumcision, removing any energy overlay that's trying to manipulate you, keeping you from connecting with God, healing yourself, being really successful, fulfilling all your divine missions, and living your life in joy. And as all the unwanted energies gently removed that's keeping all these wonderful things from coming to you, we also send it through the violet flame back to God, and you fill up with more of your divine essence. So if there's anybody out there that's directing any kind of dark energy at you, whether it's through magic, witchcraft, or even just dark thoughts, anger, we're going to ask them to stop, because if they're doing it to you, they are doing it to others. And to step forward in the light, and if they choose not to, which is their free will, we ask their higher self and their guardian angels to put them in a position of harmlessness. We surround them in a bubble of mirror. The mirror faces them 2 inches from their nose. And as long as they do that dark work, that energy stays contained in the bubble. I put the violet flame in the bubble of mirror to transmute, so they have no forward movement. And the bubble of mirror stays up 24/7, 365 days a year until they do works of good. So I called your higher self, and I asked your higher self now to activate your divine blueprint for perfect health, the one that you created before you incarnated into this lifetime. And I'm going to ask that it's put into activation and starts manifesting in your body now. So I want you to allow all this energy to integrate in a very gentle, kind, loving way with your cells, your atoms, your molecules, all your internal organs, going all the way down into your DNA. And with every breath, feel more of your divine energy coming back into your body, integrating with your cells, atoms, and molecules, all your internal organs, very gently. Now I want you to feel the earth energy come up through your feet. And it's a heavier energy. You're going to start to ground. And as the earth energy comes up your legs, you're going to feel yourself pulling back in body, becoming very centered, very clear-headed. Answers come to you easily. You're divinely inspired. For every cell, atom, molecule in your brain is reconnected to the Creator. And you're open to all new possibilities now. So with every breath, keep allowing all that energy to integrate in a very gentle, kind, loving way with your cells, your atoms, your molecules. Feel yourself grounding even more. You're being very centered. Now, after the show, if you have your stone hematite, and I really encourage you to get some, it's very, very grounding. It pulls you back in body, and it centers you very, very quickly. If you don't have that and it's not too freezing cold out, go put your hands out on a tree, imagine all your excess energy going into the tree. And after doing that, just for 30 seconds, you can ask the tree to send you energy back, and you're going to ground immediately. And that's where you want to be. When you're grounded, you're very, very centered. I hope everyone has a lovely week this week, and you do a lot of your shopping at your local Ma and Pa stores, because boy, do they need you. And if you want to keep them around, you have to give them business. Support them. Just don't support the major retailers that are giving you whatever. Do something nice for the little people, for the little mom and pop businesses. we appreciate everything that comes into our store, every person. At least I do. And you're treated accordingly. So, do something special. Be really focused on where you're going to put your money this Christmas, and really have a happy week. And I hope you also manifest a heart's desire. And aloha.